United States Vice President Thinkwell once said, "It isn't pollution that's harming the environment, it's the impurities in our air and water that are doing it." This is an example of false reasoning. Reasoning is a process of drawing a conclusion based on evidence. False reasoning, or reasoning where the conclusion does not follow from evidence, is called fallacy. As you develop and deliver your persuasive speech, please be on the lookout for fallacies. Check for them as you consult resources to develop your presentation. Listen for them as other speakers deliver their persuasive speeches, and try not to use fallacies in your own speech. Well, research has identified over 100 different fallacies. Let's take a look at each and every one. No, not really. Let's just look at some of the most common fallacies. First fallacy to consider is called slippery slope, and this is also known as the camel's nose. This is one of the most frequently occurring fallacies. It assumes an irreversible, inevitable trend leading to disaster without justifying intervening steps. There's no valid reason to believe the claim. It just oversimplifies. Fears drive the prediction. Watch this.
The death penalty is a necessary part of the United States justice system. Abolishing the death penalty promises to open up a Pandora's box, erasing any fear of repercussions would-be criminals might have. Abolishing capital punishment is nothing more than an open invitation for widespread crime and violence, as well as a total disregard for the law. Let's note the effectiveness of the death penalty as a deterrent to crime.
An additional fallacy that's frequently used is bandwagon, which is also known as peer pressure. This is an appeal to popularity, has the flavor of just because everybody else is doing it, you should do it too. Loyalty and the need to belong compel people to conform, even without solid reason. This might work, but it's not sufficient as support for a claim. Here's an example of bandwagon.
Gun control goes against America's founding ideals. Only those with total disregard for America's commitment to freedom, democracy, and individual liberty would support stricter gun control policies. First, let's look at the constitutional issues regarding gun control.
Another type of fallacy is ad hominem, and this is a Latin term meaning against the man. This is an attack on the person rather than the argument. The claim is rejected based on an irrelevant fact about the person who is presenting the claim. The character of the person is not relevant to whether or not the claim is true or false. Watch this.
The defense spending proposal does not look out for the nation's best interests. Congress should not support President Bush's defense spending proposal because he has a record of misspeaking, mispronunciation, and making up words. Let's talk about one of the first dangers of this proposal.
A fourth type of fallacy is argument ad misericordiam, simply an appeal to pity. For instance, let's hire Lena because she's a single mom of 7 children, rather than considering whether or not Lena is qualified for the position. Or think of a trial lawyer not arguing for her client's innocence, but rather trying to move the jury to sympathy for the client. See how it operates in this fallacy.
The Republican Party made the wrong choice at the 2000 convention. John McCain deserved the nomination because he spent 6 terrible years as a Vietnam prisoner of war. First, let's take a look at McCain's impressive record on domestic issues.
False dilemma is the final fallacy we'll take a look at today. In a false dilemma, the speaker reduces the claim to an either-or choice. It asserts that you only have 2 choices. One is positive, the other is negative, although other alternatives certainly exist. You probably have heard that term, America, love it or leave it. And what this does then is oversimplify a situation. Watch.
Escalating video game violence threatens the youth of America. We must either establish a system to regulate violence in video games, or we'll have a generation of violent, murderous young people. Let's take a look at some psychological issues related to video game violence.
Those then are some of the most common fallacies. As I said, there are many, many more, but you want to be on the lookout for these. Again, look for them as you're consulting your sources, look for them as you listen to other people, and finally, try not to incorporate them in your presentation. You should learn these fallacies or you will flunk out of college and never get a job.